People that have experienced brushes with the paranormal report strange sounds or smells, seeing things from the corner of their eye, or feel something they simply cannot explain. And whether or not you are a believer, after their experiences, these people were left with no doubts about life existing on the other side. Enjoy. I didn't believe in ghosts. I'm still very skeptical of the idea. The idea that we exist after death seems way too optimistic to be true. That being said, I had a very strange experience. I was in college in Chicago. My friends and I found a weird apartment. The space had been a bar that predates Prohibition that was loosely converted into a loft, and when I say loosely, I mean that there were dividing walls that didn't go all the way to the ceiling to separate the rooms. There was a shower, and they took the bar itself out. But other than that, very little work had been done to the place. There was a creepy as fuck basement. In the basement, there was a turn-of-the-century beer-cooling ice vault. It was this big, heavy room all lined with wood, with a big, heavy door, with suspicious hooks and hoses dangling from the ceiling. My room had a closet under the stairs to go up to the apartments on the higher floor. There was a door to the closet, which was under the taller part of the stairs. Then there was another door inside the first door into the small space under the lower stairs. And behind that door, there was a trap door set into the floor that was nailed shut. All three doors had locks on the outside of the door. Curious as to where the trap door went, I looked around in the creepy basement, only to find the trap door in my room led to a space in the basement that was completely walled off, like a room with no door. One day I was sewing in my room, and the closet doors kept popping open on their own. We used to joke that there was a ghost because of the creepy basement. I thought the ghost was just a joke and my closet door kept popping open because of a draft or something. I just kept shutting it, and it just kept popping open. Eventually I got pissed because every time the door popped open, it would hit my chair and disrupt my sewing. I actually latched the door shut, sit back down, and right before my eyes, I see the latch pop open for no fucking reason, and the doors swing open with force and smack my chair really hard. Pissed, I stood up and said, "Fuck off, you stupid ghost, I'm trying to get work done." And the doors swing shut on their own, and the latch dropped into place on its own, and the doors never popped open again after that. I feel a little bad. Sorry I yelled at you, spooky ghost. I thought I was just fucking around. But if ghosts exist, I yelled at you way too harshly over some chair bumping. About a year or so ago, my dog and I had an encounter with what is referred to as a stick man. It was a bit after 4 a.m. and I was wrapping up some late night work from home. My piece was done, but there was another team that needed to run through a battery of tests. While waiting on them, I decided to duck out for 15 minutes to catch a smoke and get my dog out. While we got downstairs and outside, I let my dog off the leash so she could find a perfect spot to pee and poop. It seriously takes her forever to pick a spot. While I light up my cigarette and keep an eye on her, a few minutes pass and my dog starts narrowing in on a spot to crap. Being the responsible dog owner I am, I start walking my way to her with the poop bag in hand to pick up whatever foul present she had decided to gift the lawn with. However, just as she is about to hunch over and squeeze one out, she went rigid and started growling at a tree about 10 feet in front of her. I kept walking toward her, but looked over toward the trees. With no street lights and it being dead of night, I couldn't make anything out, nor could I hear anything. However, my dog was convinced something was over there. So to get her to chill the fuck out before she started barking and woke everyone up, I started walking toward the tree in an attempt to show her that nothing was wrong. I think I got about 5 or 6 feet of the tree before it stepped out from behind and in front of me. It was tall, Really tall. I actually had to look up to see its head. Being 6'7" myself, that doesn't happen to me all that often. Beyond the tallness, it was skinny. Like too skinny to host organs skinny. It was completely black, with no discernible features including the face. I just stood there for a second and so did it. Then it just turned around and ran from us in the weirdest fashion. Almost like it was floating, but still moving its legs. No sound either. I watched as it effortlessly covered 50 or so yards, jumped a 6-foot fence in a matter of seconds, and then it was gone. Weirdest shit I've ever seen in my life. My cousin committed suicide when he was 23. The entire family was devastated. My other cousin, his sister, was his favorite person in the world. About 2 hours after his body had been found, my cousin, who I was with at the time, got a call from his number. It was nothing but silence and occasional white noise. After keeping the call going for roughly 5 minutes, I told her to just hang up. After a few minutes of hanging up, she gets a text from his number, saying something along the lines of, "I'm sorry. I love you. I hope you can forgive me." What freaked us out was that the cops still had his cell phone in evidence, and this was back before scheduled texting was a thing. Either a sick prank by some cops, or something else. Now, I've had a lot of creepy experiences, but I think this is the only one that isn't a typical ghost story. I was about 13 at the time, home alone. It was pretty late at night. My family had left for something a while ago, so I was just doing chores, waiting for them to come home. For reference, my back door has a very large window on it. It's raised above the ground because it leads to our back deck and porch, so you can get a pretty good view of the backyard just from inside. Our lights were on, but they don't illuminate much of the yard, so after about 15 to 20 feet, the rest of the yard is either dimly lit or pitch black. So I'm doing some laundry, and glance out the window where I see what looks like a large tan figure on the ground. At the time, we had a boxer who was pretty large for her breed. I thought nothing of it. I just assumed she was left out earlier, and someone forgot to let her back in. I walk out onto the deck and start calling for her to come inside, and that's when I hear her claws clicking on the floor from the inside of the house behind me, and whatever the hell is in the yard starts to stand up. It stretches out, what I would guess to be one of its front legs or arms, and this limb is long, like no way it could be human or dog long. It had to be at least 3 or 4 feet long. Its body was very skinny, and it starts raising its head, which is much too small compared to how large its limbs and body are. It starts turning my way, but I book it back into the house as fast as I can and lock every lock on the door. I couldn't see many features because it was the darker part of the yard, but I know whatever the hell it was, wasn't human. I lived in a smaller apartment complex for a while, and the place had some weird vibes, but nothing big. Then I started to get bothered at night while trying to sleep in my bedroom. I would get the strange sensation that something was right behind me. You know the feeling, where your hair stands up and you get kind of fuzzy. That would happen every night. So for about 2 months I slept on my couch because I would consistently have that feeling. Then I start dating this girl. We go out drinking one night and I bring her back to my place. We walk in, flip on the light, and she freezes. I see a panicked look on her eyes. She's almost in tears and looking in the corner of the room and says, "There's a demon right there." I was stunned. I didn't tell anyone about the feelings or me sleeping on the couch before then. We immediately left and went back to her place. Later, she and a friend that week did some sort of cleansing in my apartment, and I never had another bad feeling since. I'm not usually a superstitious guy, but that whole encounter definitely sticks with me. The space between our world and the spirit world leaves many skeptics and even more questions. For these, both skeptic and not, they've felt the other side reach out and smack them in the face, having no doubt left that there's much more to life than we know about. See you next time. Boo! Sorry, I just had to. See you next time.